The Quinn Street overpass has long been a nuisance to Pocatello motorists. Its narrow lanes have struck terror in the hearts of drivers for over 60 years. Today was a scheduled day of destruction for the Pocatello landmark. Crews were at the scene early this morning preparing the bridge for its ultimate destruction. The Quinn Street Bridge had been serving Pocatello motorists for decades. But the bridge did not fall down. Still standing in Pocatello, Jake Putnam, Newsbeat 8.
In Pocatello, he's shooting right now as we speak. One of those I Challenge Daves. He's a crazy guy. He's in a stock car. Jake Putnam is a super crazy guy. Ooh. He is our cameraman, Channel 8 cameraman, photographer. Excuse me, they hate that when I say that. Anyway, he's in the back, strapped up, got a crash helmet. He's shooting Dave. I wish we had a photographer shooting Jake shoot Dave. I think that'll be pretty funny. Dave will be back at 10 o'clock, and he'll have that story for you, driving a stock car next week.
Let's
on an
hope they don't need the crash helmet.
Yeah, I hope you'll be in one piece doing the show. Maybe I will be.
You might be here for a while.
We'll have to find out. We'll wait and see. I'm sure he'll be all right. Hi, everybody. Well, the awards just keep rolling in for Larry Bird, the boss.
What are the main ingredients to a good old-fashioned political picnic? Well, you need a politician or two, a few babies to be kissed, and food. In this case, a roasted pig. But serious issues soon pervaded. Andrus addressed one of the state's hottest issues, the right to work.
I have a long history of supporting the working men and women of this state. It's an issue that has now become emotionally charged because of this outside influence, and frankly, the people will make the decision, and we will honor that decision. But it is a situation where it will not improve the financial condition and the economic recovery of this state.
Andrus stated that he is against Hollywood actors and outsiders deciding the state's issues.
Idahoans know what they want. Idahoans will make this decision in this election year, and I don't think we need the Hollywood actors or people from the East Coast or 1980 commercials included in the discussion.
Andrus stated today that it's the voters that should decide the issues that are pressing the state. From Ingham, Jake Putnam, Newsbeat 8. At the Bannock County Courthouse today, a new prosecutor was selected to fill the vacant seat following the resignation of Sean Anderson.
Board of County Commissioners are pleased to announce that we have selected Larry Echohawk as the new Bannock County prosecuting attorney.
The 37-year-old Echohawk resigned as chief counsel of the Shoshone-Bannock tribe yesterday. Echohawk brings to the office pros and cons.
Well, I undertake the job, I think, with some mixed feelings. I regret having to leave the employment of the Shoshone-Bannock tribes. I've worked there for the past 8.5 years as their attorney, and I have some very close ties to the people out there. I've enjoyed the work, but I look forward to this as a new challenge.
There were many factors that went into the commissioner's decision in their selection of Larry Echohawk.
One thing I am really pleased about is that Mr. Echohawk is going to bring like I've said, a high degree of integrity and honesty to the office, and we're real pleased about that.
If there's one thing that's crystal clear with Larry Echohawk's appointment, it may be that the legislature and the tribe's loss is the county's gain. From Bannock County, Jake Putnam, Newsbeat 8. A $10.2 million construction project near American Falls is approaching completion. And according to project coordinator Dee Piper, the project is timely.
We're planning to have this accomplished by the 4th of July so that we can reduce as much traffic confusion as possible over the holiday.
This stretch of interstate will be made of concrete. 10 inches of concrete with the latest road construction techniques being used.
This is a 10-inch short slab dowel pavement. The dowels are going in on a skew, which is the first time that's been done in the United States, will be on this project.
According to Piper, many local workers are being used. Construction material and labor dollars are finding their way back into Idaho's economy.
We average between 30 and 45 trucks hauling concrete to the roadway. Besides that, we probably have 10 or 12 people at this plant that you're viewing right now, and possibly another 12 to 15 people on the roadway where the concrete's being placed.
The construction project should be totally completed by September. From outside of American Falls, Jake Putnam, Newsbeat 8. It was a rainy March day in 1981 that changed the lives of James and Sarah Brady forever.
I think you all know the circumstances surrounding Jim's injury when he was shot in front of the Washington Hilton, along with the president.
Mrs. Brady was in Pocatello today addressing the South Idaho Brain Injury Group and discussed her role as primary caregiver during her husband's rehabilitation process.
All of a sudden, all that care I was having to take care of, and Jim had to be on anti-seizure medication, and he was having seizures, and I knew I had to give shots in case he went into got a bad seizure, and I was scared to death.
Stan Parsons suffered severe head injuries during a motorcycle accident. According to Parsons, the recovery process is slow, not only for the victim, but for the family as well.
During that time, the problem was all hers, because she had to worry and care and all this, and I had 2 small children at that time.
There's one thing that both Sarah Brady and Stan Parsons have in common.
So you've got to keep trying to gain improvements. Slight as they may be, you've got to keep trying.
In Pocatello, Jake Putnam, Newsbeat 8.
Howard Baker, the man who addressed the last National Republican Convention, the man some believe will be the top contender for the White House in 1988, the man who's been trekking across the country since he retired from the United States Senate was in Pocatello today talking to Idaho Republicans. And he sounded suspiciously like a candidate.
Want to make history and be the first presidential candidate to declare here?
And Pocatello, you tempt me.
Baker told reporters he's concentrating on the 1986 election first, and he said his first priority now is to stump for fellow Republicans Steve Symms and David Leroy.
The presidential race is not even the next election. And I've been trying to make the point that we got another election first. You know, we've got this, the one I've just been talking about, trying to keep the Senate Republican to elect a Republican governor here, in Tennessee, and so many other states. The presidential race is not even next.
Few presidential candidates campaign heavily in Pocatello. However, a few political heavyweights have made their way to the Gate City over the years, including John Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, and Jimmy Carter. And perhaps fate will also boost Howard Baker into the presidential limelight. In Pocatello, Brigitte Bilyeu, Newsbeat 8.
The state Republican convention is in town, and one can't help from wondering what the founding fathers were thinking when they picked their party symbols. Come on, you guys, an elephant?
Certainly he's a raging beast in the jungle, but also he's a docile animal when he perceives the right side of things, and that's the Republican Party.
Senator Symms thinks that the party symbol is representative of its members.
I view that elephant as that young, optimistic, long-memoried bull elephant charging through, or young elephant, I should say, charging through the brush with a smile on his face.
These raging beasts of the jungle were a scary sight to convention delegates, sending many of them back onto the convention floor in fear. So we've talked to a lot of hard-line Republican Party members, and if there's one thing that's consistent, it's the way they badmouth barnyard animals.
Well, you know, I've never given it a lot of thought, but if you think about it, you usually find donkeys in a barnyard, you usually find elephants in a jungle. I'm not sure that doesn't say it all.
From the State Republican Convention in Pocatello, Jake Putnam, Newsbeat 8. In the near future, the sleepy town of Montpelier near Bear Lake could see a boost in its troubled economy. Layoffs in nearby Soda Springs have sent many of its residents to the unemployment lines. But with the governor's dedication of Bear Lake State Park, there could be an increase in tourist dollars.
I think mostly in the summer months it's just the natural beauty of the area, the lake and the canyons. We have some of the best, some of the finest camping areas in the state. So this is going to be one thing that'll help us with the tourists.
Parker thinks that the nation's economical problems have caught up with Montpelier.
It's finally hitting us here in this valley. We've always been a diverse valley, but it's catching up with us. The farm problems, the problems that the farmers have had in other areas are catching up in this area.
With the dedication of the new state park on Bear Lake, most citizens of Montpelier are still skeptical towards their economic future.
I wouldn't say we're highly optimistic about anything right now. This is the only reason that I'm somewhat optimistic now is because this is our tourist season.
It may take more than tourism to save the small town of Montpelier, but most businesses are looking forward to the tourist season. Reporting from Montpelier, Jake Putnam, Newsbeat 8. This is a Fort Hall replica on the upper level of Ross Park. The replica is a living museum. It offers a glimpse of life into the past and has many Oregon Trail and pre-Oregon Trail artifacts. Wayne Brower is the guide and history buff, and he points out that the original site is close by.
The original trading post was situated some 14 miles northwest of us on the banks of the Snake River.
In the 1830s, Nathaniel Wyeth helped usher in a new era in the American West, and Fort Hall played an important role.
So he traveled on west and established a trading post in the Fort Hall bottoms, then called the Snake River bottoms, to trade off these goods. So it was by happenstance that the old trading post came into being. It meant the end of the rendezvous system.
The fort is open daily, and for history buffs, those interested in the Old West, it's certainly worth a look.
People get here by traveling the freeway, dropping off at the upper level of Ross Park.
From Pocatello, Jake Putnam, Newsbeat 8.
Super. Now, who won was it a 10K or 5K? It was a 10K. Who won that?
There's a great deal of support from one end of this country for the other to allow the states to set their own speed limit on rural interstates and rural roads up to 55. I personally think that they've discounted and we've proven the point that we'll save more lives if we let the states go up to 65 miles an hour.
The automotive industry is looking even brighter today as the Senate approved the historic tax reform bill. That bill should give consumers more cash in their pockets to spend.
For the average taxpayer, it appears that they're going to end up with more disposable income. Anything that does put more disposable income in a consumer's pocket is good for retail sales generally, not only automobile sales, but furniture sales and apparel sales and all the rest.
With lower fuel costs, interest rates, and soon the tax reform, car dealers in the state can expect an upswing in sales.
Combining the more disposable income as a result of reduced tax rates with low interest rates, low fuel prices, and a rising stock market generally makes people feel very good about their economic well-being. When that happens, our car sales are very good.
Favorable economic conditions have led to an increase in the transportation trade.
So it's clear to us that the American public and the Canadian public are traveling, and they're spending money in the United States, and that's very good for the economy as well.
So the news from Capitol Hill today is good news. The auto industry has long been suffering from high interest rates and high fuel costs. From Pocatello, Jake Putnam, Newsbeat 8. This pond off Bannock Highway could be doomed. Carlene Dance is organizer of a petition drive to save the pond. She says that the pond should be enjoyed by everyone.
The reason that we started the petition drive is because there's a certain party that has asked for water rights to the spring that feeds the pond. Mrs. Lundberg has had these water rights for several years. They were her grandparents, her fathers, and if this person is allowed water rights, it will eventually dry up the spring, which would prevent us from having this pond.
Alan Collins declined an on-camera interview, but says that he enjoys the pond just as much as everyone else, and has petitioned the Water Resource Board so that the water is equally distributed. But Dance thinks that the controversy is more than an issue between two people.
We just want them to know that this is not an issue, and we want them to deny anyone, not only Mr. Collins, but anyone from any water rights other than Mrs. Lundberg, because she is the only one that is truly concerned about preserving this pond here.
One neighbor said that there's plenty of water for everyone if it's used correctly. 150 years ago, the poet John Keats wrote that a thing of beauty is a joy forever. There are two sides to this case, one of beauty and aesthetics, the other of one man's water rights. This case is going to be decided in Idaho Falls by the Water Resource Board. From Pocatello, Jake Putnam, Newsbeat 8.